Hi guys, this is Dave with Previous Yeoman Tree Services. If you're tuning in to this video, we're going to be talking about knots, or in this case, hitches. Basically what I want to do is I want to teach you some of the most important hitches, some of the most important knots that a tree person needs to know. If you're out there working in the field, these are things that day in and day out, these are essential for you to learn. If you study the ISA certification book, you're going to find most of these are in there. And maybe I've added a couple extra too, just because I use them more frequently. But essentially what you want to make sure that you know how to do is to safely tie these knots so that you can depend on them. And then also just basically knowing them, because you may know how to tie it, but when you're in the canopy of a tree and you're under the gun and you're under stress, you may have to think too hard on it. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to start off with two hitches. The first one we're going to start off with is the cow hitch. And then I'm going to teach you the clove hitch, because in a lot of ways they go together. Very similar in the way that they're tied. Think of the cow hitch or the girth hitch as kind of like one of the most important mainstay hitches to be able to learn. It's something that you're going to use whenever you need to pull a tree. You're also going to use it whenever you are tying on a throw ball. And it's probably one of the most important ones that I could recommend. And then the other one, which is kind of like the less reliable younger brother. Okay, so I'm a younger brother, so I can say this. But it needs to be tied with a couple of half hitches on the other side of it. That's the clove hitch, so we'll learn them both. So let's get started. First thing I will tell you is, depending on the rope that you use, that will also affect how the knots tie and how they untie. These two hitches are nice because for the most part you can take them out pretty easily once you've tied them, even if they've been weighted quite a bit. And let's get started at first with the girth hitch. Okay, this is just simple rigging rope, stable braid 9/16, and we use this rig rope all the time in the job. So take the rope like that, bring it over. Now what you've got, I guess it looks like a cow, that's the whole thing. Now turn it in like this. Here it is, like that. Take a look at that. And then basically, it's a great model right here. The stinger, the ball. Take a look at this. Now that will roll back and forth on the ball. And you got to be careful, because if you do have like a 7/8 or a 1-inch rig rope, then there's the possibility that this could be fat enough that it could slip off. It could run out, as they call it. But for the most part, this thing will stay on, and you can put a lot of weight on this. I use this all the time, every day, whenever I'm pulling a tree. Usually the other side is going through a block. And what we see when we have this is you can pull on this till the cows come home. Get a cow hitch. Anyway, and it's not going to come out. And if you do put a lot of weight on it, usually all you have to do is just roll it out like that. And it comes right off. And then, as you can see, it just falls out. Okay, let's look at it again. Take the rope, bring it over. You got that? Turn it in. There's your girth hitch. Put it on my arm. There it is. It's tied up. It's not coming off. You do this with the throw ball too. It's a handy knot. It's a handy bite. It's good to know. Okay, the next one that we're going to learn is what's called the clove hitch. And the clove hitch is tied in a similar way, but different. Does that help? Let's get something to... This should probably work. So this would be a branch, let's say. Okay, take a look at this. Usually, oftentimes I'm using this when I'm up in the tree and I'm rigging down branches. So, you know, a lot of people will tie a carabiner on or whatever, and that's quick and easy. But once you get used to this, it's not that difficult. So lay the line over the branch and learn to do this one way. And I'll tell you why, because, you know, there's like 4 different ways to tie something as far as how the eye sees it. You can see it inside and out, upside down. It's kind of like, you know, figuring out the easiest way to learn it first. Left-handed would be harder for me than right-handed if I was learning it. So let's just tie it as if we're basically going to rig down a branch. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to toss this over. So this is going to bite. What I mean by that is the friction here is going to actually bite. So before I do that, watch what I do here. I bring this back in again, and that's it. When you see that, you got yourself a clove hitch. It's that easy. And then, I've never seen it happen, but you can tie a couple half hitches afterwards up in the tree just to make sure it doesn't run out, which is fine. But the idea is that this is a quick and easy way to rig stuff down. It's a really, really important hitch to know. So we got that going on. I'm going to show you again because it takes more than once. Let's look at it one more time. Laying it over the branch. Boom, like that. Bring this underneath. There it is, right there. Now I can pull on this. You see how that tightens up? And another thing I want to tell you, if you don't dress a knot, they call it dressing or whatever you want to call it. If you don't dress it, then meaning that you come through and you actually get that knot or that bite tight to start with, then it could run out on you. So you don't just leave it, you know, willy-nilly. It still may work, but it may not. So that's just something to keep aware of. Let's look at this again. I'm going to give it to you one more time. I'm going to give you both. Let's take a look at this. Okay. First of all, cow hitch. Lay it out. Fold it in. There you go. Look at that. Cow hitch, girth hitch. See the way it looks? You load this thing down on a ball, something like that. Just loosen this up with a hammer. I mean, within limitations, if you just like pulled a Mack truck out of it, I don't know why it's always Mack truck, but if you pulled a Mack truck out of a ditch, you're gonna have a hard time getting that out. And you may have to grab one of these bottom combis, or scrunch, whatever you call it, and weasel it down in here to be able to free it up. But these come out pretty easy. So, girth hitch. And then clove hitch over, back through, just like that. Okay, if you want to, you know, tie a couple of hitches, half hitches with it, so it doesn't come off. And that's it right there. So another thing that I like to do, I'm really fond, a lot of this stuff too, it's the climber in the tree that's going to benefit a lot from this, because sometimes I might be holding on to something with one hand, and so I've got one hand to take the rope off and the other's grabbing something. I don't know, I might be just trying to keep my work position at the time, holding a saw, whatnot else. So the nice thing about both of these hitches is they come out in the air just like that. You just basically loosen them up and they fall out. Like a water bottle, which I don't have, but how about oven cleaner? Yeah. I could do the same thing here. Watch this. I'm going to tie the clove hitch. Just lay this out like that. Okay. And then I want you to turn in this, basically like a figure 8. See that? And then lay that in on what you want. And once again, there it is, clove hitch. And I can take this up in the tree. You know, look at that, it goes up in the tree, da da da. When I get it to the top, all I gotta do is just loosen this up and everything just falls out. Just like that, easy peasy. I don't have to untie a knot. I don't have to fiddle fart around with it and try to figure out what to do with it. You know, a lot of guys get started in this business and they're on the ground and they're just tying stuff in, and it may or may not be right. It may not be anything that's really relevant. A lot of guys get started in this business, you know, and they don't know what they're doing, and so they're just tying these crazy knots, crazy hitches, and they're just like, no, I don't know, let's just tie a bunch of this on here, and it seems like that'll work, and then they get something tied in, and they go, oh, I don't know if that's gonna hold, so let's tie this up around like that. If I loop that up, okay, and then you get this crazy thing, and I get it up in the tree, and I'm like, good grief, what the heck is this? And I'm trying to untie it, and I'm working. You don't have to do that. Know these, okay? Know both of these inside and out. Practice. You know what? You don't learn anything the first, second time. You learn it over hours of practice. So spend some time, learn these two, master them. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you like what you've seen, if you learned some stuff, please like or subscribe to my channel. Appreciate it. Once again, this is Dave with Previous Home and Tree Services. We'll see you for the next bites and knots coming up.